Hey guys, welcome to her channel.
Hi everyone. So today I've got Maloba back.
Her husband.
Yes, and we're going to be talking about how parenthood affects relationships by sharing our story. So yeah, I think
Marriages affects marriages specifically.
why are people who are not
No, we said we were going to talk about how it affects marriage.
okay, how it affects marriages. All right, so then let's start with from pregnancy, when we found out that we are pregnant. For you, what do you remember?
I don't know, just finding out or like
Just
during
okay,
being
now we were
pregnant.
pregnant, yeah.
There's lots of changes to the body. Yeah, I think the stark obvious thing that comes to mind is obviously lover time. That gets affected significantly, even if the times vary, like whether it's the second or the third trimester, but it becomes, or it became a very significant thing. But then it was also, your body aches, pains, fatigue. You had bad nausea,
Yeah.
which sucks because I can't do anything about it. And then you can talk about the sleeping in the pillow.
So yeah, for me, it's three distinct memories. So the first one was trimester one. Morning sickness. It's not morning sickness. I had nausea throughout the day. And the only things that made it better was eating. And then at the end of the day, all I wanted to do was to lie flat, as in get home, lie flat on the couch. And I remember you saying one day when you came back from work, like, is it going to be like this every day? And I was like, I don't know. I'm just trying to survive, I kind of wanted to strangle you that day, but anyway. And then the other thing is definitely it affects intimacy. So it's different for everybody. But my libido definitely was like non-existent. To the extent that I didn't even want to be touched. Like I felt like, firstly, I think you have a high metabolic rate, so you're just always overheating. But like, even if he would put his hand on my thigh, I would just feel like, yeah, Chaman, why are you touching me? I'm burning. It's okay, don't hold me. So I think that was a thing. And then in that last trimester, in terms of the hip pain and the backache, I needed that pregnancy pillow. The long spaghetti one that you put between your legs.
It's like a swimming pool spaghetti, but times 10. Oh, man.
Yeah, and I think what that did, so I needed that, and then I needed a continental pillow. I needed some other small pillow to support my lower back. And by the end of it, when the entire contraption is set up and I'm finally comfortable, like, okay, I think I can sleep now. I'm like this high, he's down there, over there, because these things are taking up so much space.
So you must get a big bed when you're going to have a baby.
Yeah, so I think it definitely affected intimacy. And I think for us, maybe what was a bit tricky, or I don't know if it made it more difficult, was the fact that we were actually newlyweds. So we fell pregnant probably, I don't know, just after the wedding or something.
Yeah.
So I was pregnant our entire first year of marriage. And so it was new,
So even living together started basically pregnant.
Basically pregnant.
Yeah, so I think that's one thing that is a distinction in our marriage, is that, we dated for a very short period of time, part of which I was in Cape Town, she was in Joburg. And then when I was in Joburg, I was in Centurion, you were in Joburg South. And then got married, moved in together, then we were pregnant. And then second year of marriage, we had a baby. So
we did all of that within about 3 years from when we met to having a baby. It was about 3 years.
Yeah, 2016.
Yeah.
Somewhere around there. So this is our story in terms of how we experienced it. Obviously, people who have dated for a long period of time and then get married, the dynamic will be different, but I think some things still stay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so that was...
Sorry.
Yeah.
And then obviously, we're now talking about how things changed, but they weren't all bad, right? So obviously, we did all the pregnancy pictures. We have a lot of very raucous pictures of bellies. I think my belly also got a bit oversized. The kicks, we felt those as well. The little pictures from what are those things called?
The ultrasound.
The ultrasounds. That was very cool to get and see. And people started being like, oh, they have such and such features, which is not true. But so that was also fun to experience. It wasn't all like aches and pain.
And I think in some ways it probably did bring us closer, you know. So even if physical intimacy was affected, I think emotional closeness grew, because even during the pregnancy, you know, you do some screening tests, also depending on the age of the mother. And I had a lot of anxiety, you know. And to just have your partner be like, look, whatever happens, happens. This is our baby. However they turn out, that is what it will be. Because I was carrying a lot of like guilt almost. I mean, for something that hadn't happened yet, but I was feeling like, oh my gosh, if anything goes wrong, it's going to be my fault, you know. And you were just so cool about it. I think you helped me to just wrap my mind around everything, and to know that if anything had happened, we would have been fine. So I think that from early on, I started to realize, like, oh my gosh, I can really count on this guy. I mean, I knew that, that's why we got married, but like now you're really proving it.
Indeed.
During. So yeah, I really, really appreciated that. Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about postpartum, baby's born, and I'm a new mom, first time dad, you know. So I think there was like there was a small bubble of like honeymoon. That's like while we're still in the hospital, the private suite.
The hospital was great. Guys, if you can book a stay in the hospital. I don't know what was happening, but it was fun.
You felt like you were in a hotel.
I was in a hotel. I even think the food was decent. I mean, people came, gave us chocolates and all kinds of yummies. You know, just like wake up, bath, and then just fuss about the baby and the mother. Got to lie with her, like, you know, the whole bare chest thing. Then she would sleep and I'd sleep. I was bomb until I had to go get a birth certificate. Then it was like back to real life. That was fun.
Okay, so I mean, for me, it was a little bit of a blur. Obviously, I was going through the most. I delivered by cesarean. Although that was fine, I wasn't in much pain after the first day. So the hospital experience was really, really great. 10 out of 10 to Park Lane Clinic and the nurses there. That was awesome. And then we went home. And something that we do in our culture, so what happens is traditionally you're meant to go back to your birth mother's home so that she can teach you and help you with your newborn baby. And we had been living together, so we went. They did let you sleep over a few nights. And then it was time for him to go back to work, to go back to our place. And for me, as helpful as it was being with my mom, I think I really struggled with being away from my husband. And like when I look back on that experience and just thinking about other women, I don't know. I mean, babe, you were saying that you can see the purpose for that.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to say that, you know, back in the day, the reason for that was because usually we wouldn't have been living alone in our place. I would be living here with you and your mom and your dad as my coach. So now it's like you get to go to your mom, like someone who raised you, and then you get that nasty feeling again. And for some people, I think, especially if they were being abused at the in-laws, which was a common story, then it's nice to go back home to your mom. But we had our own life, like we were together every day. So I think I struggled with that. Like I missed you a lot.
Yeah. I don't know, I think culturally, other than the makoti and whatnot, I think just having help, and for me, whether it would be your mom or my mom, but just having an elderly person, even if it was an aunt, to be honest, but somebody elderly who, one, ideally has done it before, two, can dedicate their time and energy to tending to both the mom and the baby, I think is super, super useful if it happens that way. The reason why it happens outside our house, I don't know. I think it just comes from the traditional stuff. So if one of our mothers came to our house, if it was possible, that would have been fantastic for us. I think in our situation probably wouldn't have worked with a relatively small place at that point, and so yeah. But I think it can happen better.
It can happen better.
On attention, but also I think it really does depend on the person as well. So you may have found all the attention and then you still wanted your own place and your husband, and that is you. It's not what's happening to you.
No, it's true. It's true. But I really feel like I can speak for all women and just say that there's already so much that's changed. Your body's changed. Okay, the baby's out, but your tummy is still out here. Now you have to figure out the breastfeeding thing. You're not sleeping at night. I feel like if the less you can change, then the better. If you can still be in your environment, then do that. If you're going to get help, if it is by any way possible for your person who's helping you, your mom, your aunt, to come to your home, rather do that. But I think the main thing is about trying by all means not to separate a husband and a wife, not separating a mom and a dad, because we had a rhythm, and I feel like
not with the new baby.
Yes, not with the new baby, but it also delays how soon you can find your rhythm with the new baby. And yeah, I don't know, it can just be quite lonely, and like I used to just wait and count the hours till you're back, At some point I was crying when you leave because it's just an emotional time. Like it's not.
So you used to cry when I went back to Cape Town as well, so.
You don't know that.
You did. I did.
Anyway, so yeah, I think it can be difficult, but for me also what I found is that I emotionally, and I think this happens to a lot of women, you just want your baby daddy close, like you want him here, you miss him more. I think this is some feelings of insecurity maybe. I don't know what it's about, but yeah, just when you were with me is when I was happy. Yeah, I think that's really all I wanted to say about the postpartum baby time. Do you want to?
Yes, I think one thing that I always tell people happened to me is the first day I got back to work. And I remember it very clearly. I sat at my desk and I just kind of realized that everything has changed, like my priorities. Like it was a very strange thing. Like I never really thought about, in my life, what are my priorities? You just kind of go and you must be responsible and do your thing and, chase your ambitions. But that day sitting at my desk, I was like, it's very clear. There's two people and everything about them. And there's everything else and everyone else. Literally, it was just sort of I had an aha moment. But yeah, I think that after that, it changes. And for me, then, when people who have children, like, deprioritize things, I get it. I'm not even moved because, like, I understand exactly where it comes from. And I think it's a cool thing because everything else is just noise, But it also means that you have to then actively pursue other things. Like if you want to go hang out with people, it's an active decision. It's not just, oh, where are you on Saturday afternoon? I'm coming through. Like, who are you leaving your kid and your wife with? So that's one of the like big things that happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, in that time.
Before I get into like just the rest of like the first year of life, I just wanted to touch on, you just reminded me about how a new mom can sort of forget herself, especially in that first 3 months. And obviously if you're forgetting yourself, then it will definitely affect the relationship, right? And for me, something that really helped was how you would be like, okay, it's been 8 weeks or it's been 9 weeks. We're going out. We are leaving the baby. We have a nanny now and she's got this. You've pumped enough milk. The baby will be all right. Or, okay, what do you need to do here? Let's take her to your mother then. And I think those few times that we did that was very helpful, you know. So I think it's such a fragile time. It does need someone, the dad, to look out, you know, for the wife, because we can get irrational, we can get anxious, like our whole world just shuts off. All you're thinking is like baby, 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 you know. Yeah. So I think that for the sake of the marriage, someone has to be intentional about, okay, yes, we have a baby. It is a small baby, but the baby is okay. And now that we're out of like the dark, you know, at least the first 6 weeks, we can start to do things together away from the baby.
Yeah, I think if I add something to that, yeah, I can tell you, man. I think was it now marriage counseling? And they said, you know, it's husband and wife first, and then babies afterwards.
Probably.
Yeah, I believe in that. As much as I love my daughter to, you know, heaven and back, but like this is the first relationship, you know, so to do those things outside of the baby, like even now I'm like, we should go on holiday, and then she's like, with the baby? I'm like, oh yeah, okay, we can do that, you know. So even in those early times, like to take a short left away is important. Yeah, and like to still do stuff for ourselves without her, the baby, I think is quite important. Even though she features forcefully into our lives. Yeah.
Okay. So now raising a toddler, first year of life, things are better. We're getting used to the baby now. We're finding our rhythm. But now come in things like sleep training, who's waking up at night, who's putting the baby to sleep. And something that I just wanted to highlight is that even if you're a team, you know, like I think Maloba, you are a good dad and you were very helpful.
Thank you.
But I did find that, and I think a friend of mine said this to me, but I did find that there is a primary caregiver. I don't think it can ever be 50-50. There's always someone who does more. I think oftentimes it will be the mom, and I think that's got to do either with breastfeeding or other things. But there is always one who does more. And if the sooner you can accept that, then the less negative feelings you can have towards the situation, because it doesn't mean that the other person is not trying or doesn't care. It just means that either one is really good at it, the one is the baby whisperer, or the baby has a preference, or the one is at home, you know. So whatever the circumstance that leads to that, but be cognizant of the fact that there is a primary caregiver, and it may be you. If you're not okay with that, then you need to have a conversation about it. And I think in our marriage, even though I think I was the primary caregiver, when I felt it was getting too much, or where I felt, okay, now we're slipping into a pattern that I don't think I appreciate. Like, I'm not breastfeeding anymore. I don't need to be the one to put the baby to sleep every night. Then I'd have to say something, because now for him it was easier. You know, if I put the baby to bed, it's quicker. So it's like, yeah, but you got this, you know. But I was like, no, I will always got this unless you actually try, you know.
Yeah.
You need to do it sometimes as well.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's the perennial roles and the dad, and we have friends though who say that their kids prefer the dad.
Yes, we do.
Like bedtime, all the things,
Yes.
and the mom
Yes.
sometimes doesn't like it. And in my mind, I'm just like, what's the issue? But I think more often than not, it's much easier for the dad to play a secondary supporting and potentially to fade away if nothing happens. So the one thing is, obviously the two of you made the baby. You're both responsible for the baby. You're both affected, whether it's by sleep or fatigue or hormonal changes, or decrease in spending money. We're all affected, so you all have to you both have to put hands on deck. But because of those things, where in the first couple of months, it is the mom who's breastfeeding, where there's a mom who's staying for maternity leave and is therefore more with the baby than the father, it's easy to slip into getting used to it. So I think, and I know it's like it puts more burden on the mom, but now I'm like, you need to say it, you need to voice it and be like, come back on, do more, because it's not that one is trying to abscond, but I can say when I get again, but you can't get tired of being like, okay, you go put the baby to bed, and then over time it does also build into a habit, and hopefully you build like a proper routine. But I think it's something that couples have to talk about, right? The worst is to just be upset at the guy, and then also for the guy to just be complacent, because I'm always shocked when people like the father can't stay with the kids and the mom has to go somewhere and then the kid has to go to their grandparents. I'm like, why?
Yeah.
I find that weird, but I can see how it happens. But it's
also some moms have trust issues, so it's like, hey, I'd rather take my child.
I think that's also problematic.
Yeah. And also like how when it's the dad who's staying with the child, it's like, oh, he's babysitting. But when it's the mom who's staying with the child, it's normal. It's like, I'm just home with my child.
Yeah.
So those are some dynamics that you
and
need.
I used to say that to my colleagues. They'd have to go babysit and they gave me a hard time. But technically it's all babysitting. But yes, when it's just being called that when it's a father.
If it's your child.
Yeah, because it feels, I think now over the years it's gotten, like I don't say that anymore. I'm just like, I'm alone with Toriso. It's not, I have to go and do this more. But like the truth is, in the beginning it was an active thing. It's like, I have to remember, like she has to drink water, we have to bath, and then she has to eat, have to prepare what she's going to eat. Like I have to think about it. And I think that's, until it becomes a muscle, then it feels like an effort, and that's why it's an occasion. Like, okay, this weekend I'm staying with the child, and what am I, and I don't think you think of that.
Can I ask you, actually, as you were playing out these thoughts, I was just curious.
Yeah.
So then, when you are going through that and going through those thoughts, are you just like, oh wow, is this what's going through Keke's mind or a mother's mind? Or are you just like, this comes natural to these people?
No, I'm not thinking about you. I'm trying to solve what I have to do.
So you don't develop any further respect for...
When you come home, I'm like, thank goodness. I suppose in a way you think about it, but it doesn't turn into like an active, and maybe that's me, maybe it's me, right? It doesn't turn into an active, having had that perspective. Now, I must remember who two said. I don't know, maybe it's a selfish part. That's not the natural next thing, right? But what does happen is the more you do it, the less you think about it, the more it happens, and the more you're like, you know.
Yeah.
So it doesn't happen that way. It happens in another way.
Okay. I think we'll just go into like some other specifics, like specific things that get
Yeah.
affected by having a child. One is traveling.
Oh, yes.
So how do you think being parents affected the way
Yeah.
you travel?
Well, one, you travel heavier. You have to change cars.
Yeah.
Very soon after.
It's not by choice that people buy mommy vans.
Yeah, like if they can, I think everyone does. Just because she has basically a suitcase and a half. One is her clothes, the other is toys and food stuff and
Traveling cards.
pram, bottle warmer, washer, sanitizer thing. As a whole piece of luggage, and then the two of us, and obviously, you know, her and her clothes. So then you just need space, right? And then if you're fortunate enough to be able to do it, you do it. But then also where you go changes, because you can't go to like some luxury place with like 16 pools and a bunch of bars and DJs every week. You're going to do with your child, you know. So you need places that have those kinds of facilities. And then also budget, I think maybe it's another line item in terms of money. And then also how long you can be there, right? Like how long can you be out of the comfort of your home where everything is there, and in a hotel, microwaving things, without your kitchen. So it does change. And then how long to travel as well. Whereas we can drive for, I don't know, I mean, we've never done it, but 10 hours, I can see it happen. With a baby, you cannot do that. Like, that trip to Durban, she cried the last hour, which was very painful. So it changes that a lot.
And even like for me, something very specific is like your ability to go out for drinks or like a night out if you're on holiday. Because now it's like, okay, who's going to stay with the baby? Like when the child goes to bed, the night is over, you know, unless if, I don't know which resort you're in and what kind of holiday you're having, where you can hire help to watch your baby for you, or unless you have taken your nanny with you. So it actually does change things in that regard. And then you've got here, okay, and then related to that then is less spontaneity. Some might say that's a choice though, babe, like...
No one chooses to be less spontaneous. I think the choice is when things have settled and you don't try and rebuild things that you like. So I think people have to be very careful on judging how people turn out post babies, post marriage. You know, because so many things happen, right? So for me, the spontaneity thing was kind of linked to one, energy levels. Just thinking about the survival of a child is a lot of energy. Like what are they going to eat? You know, are they going to get a cold? Are they warm? Are they entertained and they need entertainment? Have they eaten? All of that stuff takes a lot of bandwidth for me.
Their routine.
Yeah, you have to maintain the routine. Even if you're watching some nice movie at 8:30 or whatever time, you have to stop. You know, even before then to calm them down and wash them before, you know. So that's a lot of just capacity that's held to make sure that stuff happens. So your ability to just be like, okay, tomorrow even, after church, let's go do this, you know, for me. So, let alone the ability to just do it, because there's nothing you can just do now. Like, she's here. If we just want to go for ice cream, it's, you know, put on her shoes, put on her socks. Is it cold outside? Put on a jacket, get her in her car seat, drive there, you know. Whereas before, we might just be like, let's lock up. We're going to mainland Maine. Gone. And that's just normal activity, spontaneity, let alone, hey, you know, how you're feeling, and then, check a ghosty, and then there's no such thing, you know. Even if she's sleeping, it's like, I'm resting because she's sleeping. So that's when we read our books.
Yeah. Yeah, no, for sure. I think it definitely does affect spontaneity. Look, you can try if you have a good nanny over time, especially after that first year. It does get better, but definitely you're not going to be able to just hop onto plans at the drop of a hat.
Yeah.
And I think friends learn that quickly enough, you know. And you were saying that kind of maybe is why it becomes easier for people with children to befriend other people with children, or
Yes.
it may cause a little bit of a gap between friends who have children versus those who don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's not out of choice.
Yeah. It's the same thing of if you had a friend who would be like on a Saturday, it's happening here, pull through, and then 30 minutes later you're gone.
Yeah.
You can't actually do that. For us, we've decided to do things as a couple, so maybe that's another thing. That's our problem, right? Other people, might say, nah, this thing has come up with my boys or with my girls, so I'm going. I'll be back for 3 hours, sure, in 3 hours, but not the whole afternoon. But I'm going. But we have just taken that decision to, as far as possible, to do things together. So that's maybe something else. That is a choice that we have made, right?
Okay, but can I just verify? But not, we are allowed to do our own things.
No, babe, I said genuinely.
Oh, okay.
Come on. But, and those are your words. Are you asking me? But that's why then even as you get married, right, from your single days or still bachelor or dating, whatever, to married, then you kind of move around with your partner in those circles. You can't be going to Shisanyama where, it's just, singles galore and, people are shooting their shots. Like, you don't want to be in that environment. It just doesn't make sense.
That's marriage period, I guess.
Yes, and then as it goes into children, even the restaurant you go to.
Yeah.
Let's go to clubbing. I can't. Because one hour prayer guy. So then we go to the park. And then, your single friends want to go to the park. Because who are they meeting there? Yeah.
Okay. So I guess in a way that kind of ropes in the cool factor point that we were going to make. You were saying that to some degree being parents, it's not just down your cool factor a little bit.
Yeah, your cool. Yeah, I think your cool factor in the street cool type of way, where if you were that cool friend who, all knew what had happening spots or, was always down for stuff, you just can't be that cool person anymore. You might become a new cool parent who finds the most amazing children's spots, most amazing family activities, like Irene farm in. But your friend who doesn't have a child, or who are even just married and don't have children yet, might not find that all that amazing. So that cool is it's gonna fade. It's gonna change. And I think also it's okay. That's also that phase of your life. It's like people who are trying to in their 50s trying to dress like Majida and talk slang and rev their cars. It's just like, no, that's not your phase. So let it go. So I just think that's that. And then people who maybe don't have kids yet need to try and see it in that way. And of course, we're putting broad strokes on these things, right? But just those are some of the considerations of why people aren't available on Saturday afternoons.
Yeah. Maybe, I think that's most of it, But in closing, so that it's not all doom and gloom, I'll say for me, being parents together, I mean, firstly, I don't think I could have done this with anybody else. But I feel like overall it's brought us closer, It's definitely also forced us to communicate better, choose our words. You can't have a fight and not talk to each other for a whole day and things like that. But also seeing your person, being a parent, being a dad to your child, it's a beautiful thing, And I think no matter what's happening, this is the one thing that we are always going to be a unified front on, is trying to achieve the best for our child or children.
Yeah. I think I always say that we are doing the life thing together, and we're solving stuff together. Things are happening to us and around us, and ours is to go at them together, right? And I think in doing that, trying to find the school for her and trying to find what kind of principles we want to instill means we have to engage a lot deeply about the smallest of details, like should we buy chocolates for school or not, and that being that close to somebody just does bring you closer. And then I guess when you discover each other seeing things the same way, it's kind of cool to be like, oh, so we are actually like in harmony, or we do see things the same way. We are closer, and we have the same opinions, we laugh at the same things. I think that's a result of that, and that's pretty cool. And then I think the coolest thing is obviously this person who's trying not to be in this video. Desperately
trying to be.
Well, yeah. He's trying very hard not to be in this picture. And it's pretty amazing to see every day.
Okay, guys, I hope that will be helpful to future parents, or if you're already parents, trying to juggle that with your relationship, that you can find some commonality in our story. But it's a beautiful thing, yeah? Yeah.